It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What's up guys, and welcome to FPL Today, and finally the fixtures are out. So we'll be covering the fixtures in more depth in a later video, but today we'll be going over my revised team now that we know that both Manchester clubs could blank in game week 1. I'll go over my Fantasy Premier League team and explain why I'm going for certain players, and then you guys can let me know I've got it all wrong in the comments down below. So let's get straight into it. We start off with the goalkeeper spot, and we're going with Alex McCarthy here. In my previous squad we did have Ryan from Brighton, but Southampton looked to have better fixtures, and also Southampton seem to be starting to improve as a defensive unit. Southampton have Crystal Palace away, Tottenham at home, Burnley away and West Bromwich Albion at home in their first 4, and look to at least have good fixtures on average all the way until game week 16. And that's important because in an ideal world, I don't want to be using a transfer on my goalkeeper. Then we go to defence, and in defence we have what you'd expect to see with Trent Alexander-Arnold for my Liverpool defensive coverage, but more importantly, his incredible creative and attacking stats. If you were living under a rock last year, this is the guy that got 210 points from defence with 15 FPL assists and 4 goals. Is there a 7.5 midfielder that's going to match that? We'll have to wait and see, but if that is the case, I can always bring them in as well with the team structure that I've laid out in this first draft after the fixtures. Making up the back 3 are Vinagre and Ferguson, but this of course is subject to change. I'm keeping an eye on Crystal Palace, hoping for a £4 million defender, and apart from Man United, Chelsea and Wolves in their first 9, they have fixtures that potentially they could get clean sheets in. As for Vinagre, if no other left back is brought in at Wolves, he looks like good cover for the Wolves defence at 4.5 million due to Johnny's injury. And whilst their fixtures do get more difficult from game week 10 onwards, Wolves are a good side that can get results against the big sides as well as the smaller teams in the league. So guys, what do you think so far? Is that a good backline, or is it slightly too cheap? Is Doherty a must if I'm going to cover the Wolverhampton defence? As always, feel free to have your say in the comments down below, as well as liking the video and subscribing to FPL Today for more FPL content. Ring that notification bell as well to join the notification squad. It's free after all. So now we move on to the midfield, and this is where things get interesting, especially as Manchester City and Man United could potentially blank in game week 1. It's looking likely that will be the case. So that means the pair of Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne are out of my side, and instead we keep Salah and we bring in Aubameyang, the two £12.0 million players. Salah does have Leeds at home, Chelsea away, Arsenal at home and Aston Villa away in his first 4, but over the first 16 game weeks he has good fixtures, and it is the champions of the Premier League and one of the best attacking sides in the league. As for Aubameyang, consistently in contention for the Golden Boot every season, and with Fulham away and West Ham at home in the first 2, he's an early pick who can then be changed to one of the Manchester players that potentially blank in game week 1. The rest of the midfield is what I'm going for if I commit to a 5-man midfield. There's a few options I like the look of between 7 to 8.5 million, and I want the flexibility to be able to pick not only them but any midfielder that shows good form that is cheaper than these players. So for now, Ziyech is a punt. From Chelsea, I'd have preferred Pulisic, but he looks potentially to be injured for the beginning of the season. With Chelsea having Brighton Hove Albion away, Liverpool at home, West Bromwich Albion away, Crystal Palace at home and Southampton at home in the first 5, and decent fixtures for the beginning of the season. Unless another Chelsea midfielder looks a better option than Ziyech, he will likely start the season for me. Then James Maddison makes it into the side as more of a placeholder than a confident pick. Leicester City start the season with West Bromwich Albion away and Burnley at home in the first 2, with West Ham and Aston Villa at home after Man City in game week 3. And finally, the cheaper mid for now is Saka, but can be moved on to another 5.5 midfielder easily if one emerges as a good pick. Saka looked really good at the end of last season and made my top 5 potential breakout midfielders video, which I released earlier this week, and you can go check out after this video if you want to know the type of players I'll be keeping an eye on for this spot. So those are my picks for the midfield in FPL, but they could also be my picks in Fan Team's €1 million prize pool fantasy football game. Put your FPL skills to the test and turn €25 into a €200,000 payday. With 1 million in leaderboard prizes, there's plenty of money up for grabs. Pick your squad of 15 players with a 100 million budget. and pick the players that will earn you a cool part of that €1 million prize pool. And if you like daily and weekly fantasy games too, there's even more money to be won. So join Fan Team today and start to make money playing FPL using the link in the description down below. Now looking at our forwards, and up front we've gone with Timo Werner, who comes into the Premier League, joining Chelsea with a great record from the Bundesliga where he played for RB Leipzig. I'm hoping that at 9.5 million he can make a mockery of that price point and really hit the ground running, similar to how Mohamed Salah, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Aubameyang, and even an old school one for the memory books, Michu, did when they joined the Premier League. With Brighton Hove Albion away, Liverpool at home, West Bromwich Albion away, Crystal Palace and Southampton at home, and then Man United away in the first 6 games, I really like this Chelsea side and Frank Lampard as their manager, and I'm gambling on them improving on last season with the likes of Ziyech and Werner added to their squad. Joining him up front is Alexander Mitrovic, who was the top scorer in the Championship last season. Their fixtures aren't too bad for the start of the season, with a bad first game against Arsenal at home, but then it's Leeds away, Aston Villa at home, Wolves away, Sheffield United away, and then Crystal Palace at home the 5 after that. He also started with a bang his last season in the Premier League, then a year later Pukki started with a bang, so I'm hoping this is a trend from top performing Championship strikers when they get promoted. Then we move on to my bench, and on the bench at the moment is Che Adams, who is a pick I have because I like Southampton's fixtures, but if I'm really committing to the 3-5-2, I'm not sure I actually need him. On the other hand, as a player that could come on if I get a call wrong in my first 11 and put a player in there that's benched, then this is not a bad player to come on against Crystal Palace away in the first game of the season. Also, I have a good feeling about Southampton, so I'm hopeful that Che Adams continues some of his form that came at the end of last season. Then we have 2 more 4.5 million defenders in Lamptey and Dallas. Dallas could change to Eiling or Alioski if I hear anything about them being better and more secure picks than Dallas, but Leeds start doesn't necessarily appeal to me. As for Lamptey, there are some nice fixtures for him with Crystal Palace, Newcastle and West Brom in the first 6, so he could be someone I rotate in to swap with the likes of Dallas and Ferguson. And before we sign off today, we have the EOV end of video question of the day, and it comes from Peter Cruz, and his question is double Liverpool defence. Now, we did discuss this on the FPL Wildcats, which was a stream I did over on the FPL Wildcats channel 2 days ago, and if you go check that out you can see more than just my opinion on that question. However, after debating it with the guys on the FPL Wildcats, the idea of a double Liverpool defence does make good logical sense. The thing is, if they both get near 200 points, say you're looking at Robertson and Trent or Van Dijk and Trent, then you're looking at 400 points in total, and how many points are you going to get from Salah or Mane? You're probably going to get around the 230 to 250 mark. However, where the logic falters a bit is if the Liverpool attacker is likely to be your captain. So say Salah is your captain, he could get 460 points if you captain him regularly and get those points doubled. That of course is if you stick the armband on Salah and forget about it for the rest of the season. My issue, however, is I don't feel safe not having a Liverpool attacker, and having doubled up on Liverpool defence at the beginning of last season, it didn't work out for me, and I'm not the type of player that is patient enough, and I know myself having played this game for enough years now, to stick with that if it isn't working. And I think that is something you're going to have to do if you go with this pairing. If it doesn't work for 4-5 game weeks, are you going to stick with it until the end of the season? If you do, and they carry on the form and the point totals that they've got in previous seasons, then it is a good move. But I just don't like having 3 of one team in my FPL side, because every time I've done it, it just doesn't seem to pay off. So it's not something I would do, but I can definitely see the logic in that move. So guys, if you want your question to feature at the end of the next video, ask a question with the hashtag EOV, and you could see your question at the end of the next video. If you enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button, subscribe and ring that notification bell, as well as get involved in the comments down below telling me what you think of my team. With that being said, I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.